Yo everybody, welcome to the 30,000 subscriber Q&A for the ATP Overwatch YouTube channel. I can't believe we're here. It feels unreal to me that we've made this much progress over the years, so thank you all so much for that. I mean, this is a little late, I apologize for that. I've been really busy with other content and everything, but better late than never, I suppose. We're like halfway to 31k already. That's pretty amazing. But this video is dedicated to you guys. I'm just going to answer some questions I got from Twitter and YouTube and go from there. I hope you guys enjoy. Have you ever considered creating a podcast like Plat Chat? Okay, so this is actually a really good question and something I've thought about quite a bit throughout the years. This is something that's been going on for a while, this idea of making a podcast where I just sit down and give my thoughts week by week about things, but it's just been really hard to commit the time to a podcast. I mean, recently I finished school, so there is more time in that regard, but a lot of the time, just sitting down for an hour or two even to make these types of videos goes into the time that I could be using to make shorter form videos that are easy to make, that are consistent, that you guys enjoy. But this is something I've considered quite a bit. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I've even considered maybe even doing a live show where I talk about what happened during the week for an hour or so. That could be something fun, or I could kind of do a format in the video sense, just like with my What I Noticed series, but instead of calling it What I Noticed, it can be like the ATP podcast, and again, I just talk about things that are on my mind that caught my interest throughout the week. So if that's something you'd maybe like to see in the future, let me know, because I might consider doing it, depending on how things go. How do you feel in the position you are in, and who are your inspirations to becoming a YouTuber? First off, thank you so much for your continued support, Keon. It means a lot to me, but in terms of this question, how I feel in this position, every single day I wake up and I'm just so incredibly thankful and blessed. Being some sort of significant YouTuber, if you consider 30k subs significant, is something I've dreamed about for a long time. Being a YouTuber is something I wanted to do when I was a kid, so it feels like a dream come true in a way. I love being able to do this. It can't be my full-time job or anything, at least not yet. But just the fact that I can use it to pay off bills and whatnot and do something that I really enjoy, it means a lot to me that I can turn this hobby and passion into something more. In terms of your second question, my inspirations for becoming a YouTuber, there's a whole bunch. I don't know if I'd significantly go into one person. There's been a lot of people who have influenced me throughout the years, just enjoying their content and whatnot. I guess I'll run down the list real quick. When it comes to the Overwatch aspect, Dividing definitely played a big role. Watching his videos when I was first starting to get into Overwatch YouTube really helped me keep on going. It convinced me that this can be something fun. Then also, for those of you who remember him, Michael, he actually served as an inspiration for me because, again, he was one of those people who showed me that people like Overwatch League discussion-based content, and this is something that maybe I could do as well. And then, of course, there's other just random streamers within the scene that are really fun. Then when it comes to, non-Overwatch people, there's a large handful. Some of the early examples I can think of come from the Dragon Ball community. I loved QnA, Rhymestyle, Geekdom 101. They were all awesome. And then afterwards, there are people like Original 151 and United Gamer and Dobbs from the Pokemon community. And then also just watching Mr. Beast is very inspirational. So I'd say all of those people, plus some others that I'm definitely forgetting, that played a huge influence in my childhood early on. How did you discover Overwatch? Did you play other FPS before, or was it your first? I don't know if I've answered this question before. I feel like I have, but just to go over it again for the people who are new around here, I actually discovered Overwatch from a friend while I was in high school. I think it was junior year. He showed me a trailer for Overwatch, and after that I was like, hey, this game seems kind of interesting. Maybe I could play this with some friends. And then wouldn't you have it, the open beta was just around the corner, so I downloaded it, and I really, really enjoyed it with my friends. They didn't seem to like it as much as me, but I kept rolling with it, and the rest is history. And in terms of if this was my first FPS game, no, it definitely was not. Back during my early middle school days, I played a lot of Call of Duty. I think my first true FPS game was Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty. I've played other shooter games that weren't in the first person. I played third-person shooters with the original Star Wars Battlefront games, but I didn't play those in first person, so I'd say technically my first FPS game was MW2. Not an owl question, but was wondering what are your favorite shows/anime to get you through long off seasons? Okay, really good question. I'm glad you're bringing this up. So, in terms of TV shows, I don't watch a lot of shows personally. If we're just talking about cable in general, I watch a lot of sports. The NBA and the NFL are huge passions of mine as well. I follow those leagues very closely. And when there's no Overwatch League, those leagues mean even more to me. In terms of anime, some of the recent ones I've watched include Yu Yu Hakusho and Cowboy Bebop because I really love 90s anime. And I actually just finished up Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood the other day. Really amazing shows. I like to watch a lot of the basic stuff with action and fighting and whatnot. So yeah, I'd say those three. Out of your entire channel history, which one video are you most proud of? There's a few different routes I could go down with this specific kind of question. If we're talking things that I just made in general, then probably either the thing I did with the Shock or the Titans, just really proud moments for me in my career. But if we're talking strictly my channel and things I have made myself, it's hard to go wrong with any of the best player on every hero videos just because those always seem to do well. I commit a lot of time to them, and it's just really awesome to see all of that time commitment pay off. I mean, one's well on its way to 200k views now. That's like really, really awesome to me. But also, some of like the more early videos I made, I'm proud of just to see like my progress. One of them as well is definitely the news video I made when Gamsu got traded to the Shanghai Dragons, because I like to look back at that video as the thing that kind of broke me into the scene officially, as at the time Michael was starting to report on Overwatch less. He was moving into his Fortnite and his org and whatnot. So I took advantage, I took a shot in the dark and made a Gamsu video, exhausted mind you, after spending a whole day making a power rankings video, and that's kind of the thing that got people to finally notice me, and my sub count finally started to go up. So I'd say all of those if I had to pick any. I don't know if I can pick just one. What are your thoughts on OWL playing on a game that is still in beta? Do you think this could hurt the league or maybe make it better? So honestly, I have mixed feelings. On one hand, it's weird, especially because once the beta ends, like the closed beta, open access, it's going to feel very weird as we have to play in Overwatch 1 and they still get to play Overwatch 2. But on the other hand, we definitely needed some sort of refresher. I don't think people wanted to sit there and watch Overwatch 1 again for another year. It would have been really boring. I think this was the right play as it kind of changed the way that the game is played. And lots of teams seem to have chances of pulling off upsets on any given day now, so I'm all for it in a way. There are drawbacks, but I think that generally this is the right move to make just in terms of pure entertainment value. What's your goals for 2022 after reaching 30k subs? Right now, I don't really have that many like specific goals. A few would be to kind of get further involved with the Overwatch League community. I want to get noticed more like I did with the co-stream. I want to work with teams more. A big goal is also just to work with the league on a YouTube video or to be a special guest, something along those lines. But most of my goals are pretty broad. I just want to continue to keep doing my thing and grow beyond just being the Overwatch guy. I know that that's going to sound really weird. I'm not saying I'm going to leave you guys or anything, but it would be cool to venture off into making some other YouTube content as well. I'm really big into sports, like I just said before, so maybe that's something I could look into, making a sports channel, because then maybe one day, somehow, some way, if people like some of my other channels, I can end up doing YouTube full time. You never know what the future might hold, so that's like the big goal. I want to expand. Would you ever take a job in OWL as an analyst or something else if it was the cost of being able to make content on YouTube? This is tough because I really love my YouTube channel to death, but at the same time, YouTube is not something I can do like to be stable financially, and if I could take a job in the Overwatch League as an analyst or a commentator, whatever it might be, that could help me be in a much better financial situation. As someone who's about to start paying off student debt and everything and needs to start saving up to move out of his parents' house one day, yeah, I think this is something I would do. It would suck because I know that people love my YouTube content, and I appreciate you guys for that, but I'd still be around technically making content but for the Overwatch League, and I get to continue doing something that I'm love, and I'm more financially stable. So I'd take the trade-off, as sad as it may sound, because during the off-season, I could probably still make content, which would be cool. So I don't see why not. Who are some people who worked in the Overwatch esports scene that you'd like to come back that aren't players or coaches? Yeah, this is a pretty easy one for me. Obviously, Sideshow and Bren are just super high on the priority list. I'd love to see both of them come back to the league someday in like a wider capacity. But also Golden Boy. I'm a big fan of Golden Boy. I love the dynamic that he has with Reinforce and Sideshow and Bren. He's a very wholesome and positive guy. And I missed those days during Season 1 when he'd be on the desk a lot of the time. That was great. And the World Cup as well. So if I could have those three back, that would be so awesome. It's never going to happen. I know it won't, but fingers crossed, I guess. My question is, do you watch other sports? And if so, what teams do you support? So as I kind of talked about before, yes, I do watch other sports. Not so much esports necessarily, but I'm a big NFL and NBA guy. And the teams I support, as sad as it may sound, are the New York Giants and the New York Knicks. I know, why would I subject myself to such torture? Really, really sad stuff. They haven't been good recently, but I'm loyal. I know it may not seem that way just because of the Valiant drama that happened, but I've been supporting the Giants and the Knicks for a very long time. Through thick and thin, I've always loved those guys. Those are my teams, and they help make me enjoy those leagues even more. What's your opinion to expanding your YouTube to other esports? Valorant, League of Legends, CSGO. Do you play any of these games yourself and or watch these other pro gaming leagues? I personally feel like Pro Valorant had a lot of potential for video ideas. This is something I kind of alluded to in an earlier question in terms of expanding. I'd like to make some other channels some way down the future, I'd say. I just don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if I do any other esports per se, due to the simple fact that I don't know if I love any other esports as much as I do Overwatch, and I only want to do things that I'm passionate about. I could maybe go the gaming route. I'd love to maybe do like Pokemon, but I think that sports, traditional sports, might be the way to go for me, as I think I could do similar content to what I do at the Overwatch League, but maybe to a wider range of an audience, if you know what I mean. And in terms of if I play League or Valorant or CSGO, not really for the most part. I play Valorant from time to time with some friends, but I'm not super into it. I don't find it nearly as enjoyable as Overwatch. I don't have that same passion. And then with League, I don't play that. CSGO, not really my thing either. And I just don't pay attention to any other pro gaming leagues. I've tried, but nothing gives me that same love and passion as I get with Overwatch. It's really unfortunate. I've tried, but I just can't do it. Favorite food? Ah, yes, the favorite food question. I think I might have answered this a couple of years ago, but why not answer it again? So I come from like an Italian heritage, so I'm a big fan of like pizza and pasta dishes, and I like chicken-based dishes a lot as well. Like chicken parmesan, oh, I love that so much. It's so good. So probably one of those things. Other than agilities, who's your favorite Overwatch League player of all time? Another thing I might have answered before, I can't really remember, but my favorite Overwatch League player of all time other than agilities is Carpe. I fell in love with him during Season 1 just watching his play. He was so amazing, one of the first OG carries of the league. His Widow was out of this world. He could play anything at a super high level. I know he's not as good as he used to be, but I just love that he sticked around for all this time. And what's so great about Carpe is his work ethic is legendary. You won't see a player working harder than this guy. And just the fact that he has so much mental resilience, right? He's been beat down over and over again. So many sad moments with the Fusion, so many chokes, so many losses in big games, but he always comes back swinging, you know? It's a great life lesson that Carpe teaches all of us. Never, ever be satisfied, and never let these types of big moments where you lose get to you. Get back up and try again. One of your New Year's resolutions was going on a date. Any progress? No. I'm sad to report that there has not been any sort of significant progress yet, but I will say I am trying. I'm looking through all of my options and everything. It just hasn't gone anywhere just yet. Maybe in a couple of months or later this year, that'll change, but right now, no, not really. No progress to be found. But if nothing happens, so be it, right? I'm only 23 years old. No rush just yet. I'm still trying to figure out things in my life anyway, so if there's no love to be found just yet, then okay, I can live with that. But hey, all I'm saying is, I'm single, ladies. Now that the Valiant aren't your favorite team, which team are you going to be supporting in Season 5? So this is a question I have gotten so many times. Like, I'm actually really surprised at how many people are interested in my fandom / allegiance with the Overwatch League. But I'm sad to say that I will not be supporting a team yet again this year. I thought I'd be ready after taking a year off from the Valiant fiasco, but I just can't get myself to do it. I don't feel that same drive or passion or attachment with any other team that I did with the OG Valiant. I can't find it. I'm trying my best, but I really don't want to force myself into supporting a team that I'm not that interested in. I'm hoping this is going to change sometime in the future, but right now I'm going to remain a neutral party. Although if I had to pick a team that I want to do well, First off, I'm going with any former Valiant boys and the teams they're rocking with, but also I'm hoping the Fusion do well this year because their fans have gone through a lot, especially with Alarms passing, so if they can do well, that would be great. What do you find so desirable about the media industry? Why are you passionate about it? I don't know if there's a right way for me to answer this question because there's so many different answers I can provide. From a general sense, media is just my passion. Like, I don't know exactly how to explain it. I love sharing my passion with others. I love entertaining people with my voice and using my writing to express myself and entertain people through that way as well. And I like hearing people's opinions on stuff on social media and being able to form communities and bonds. I love sharing my passions with other people, and in return, I like hearing about their passions. What is your least favorite OWL team or least favorite character? Okay, so I don't know if there's a least favorite Overwatch League team I have. I don't have that hatred for any team like I do with like the NFL, where I don't like the New England Patriots, let's say, or, like the MLB, since I'm a Yankees fan, not a big fan of the Red Sox, blah, blah, blah. But in the Overwatch League, I just don't have it with any of the teams. I enjoy all of them in their own specific and unique ways. It'd be more so like fan bases, I guess, that annoy me, but we're not going to get into that. I can't answer the second part of the question, though. Least favorite character, by far, is Roadhog. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how much I despise this character, especially after the last year. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I never liked him straight from day one. I hated Hook 1.0 and all of the wacky changes it went through before it became balanced, I guess you could say. And I hated getting one-shot by him, especially when my movement wasn't as good. I hated it so much as a support player, getting hooked and all of a sudden I'm dead, just from him shooting me. No other follow-up whatsoever. I hated that. But then this year, no one wanted to play main tanks anymore, Everyone wanted to play Hog and Ball and Sigma, and because of that, I would just suffer in so many games. Hog does nothing but feed. He has no shield presence whatsoever, and all it results in is a lot of angry teammates and frustration. Like, why are you playing Roadhog? Why? I don't understand. Synergize with me. Hog does nothing. So yeah, I'm going to go with Roadhog easily. Was there ever a video idea that you thought was really cool, but never did because you thought it wouldn't get attention or was too daunting of a task? This is actually something I'm pretty good with. I'd say better than most with, as I feel like a lot of creators are perfectionists and there's always those videos that they really don't like how they turn out, so they ditch them altogether. But this very rarely happens with me. I'd say that at least 95% of my ideas end up making it to YouTube, and I feel good about each and every video that goes up. But there is a situation every once in a while where something doesn't feel right. I try making the script or sitting down to record, and it just doesn't come out the way I want it to. It happens with every creator, basically. I'd say the last time it happened was probably a few years ago, though, so my success rate is pretty good. The last time I didn't like the way a video was turning out, so I ended up ditching it, was when the news broke that the Overwatch League was moving from Twitch to YouTube. Other than that, though, I feel I've done a pretty good job, and I'm very happy with how the channel is going and all of the video ideas that I end up having. What do you think would happen if the Overwatch League issued a rule where every team has to have at least one American player on their roster? That's an oddly specific question. To be completely honest with you, I don't even know how something like that would work. If that was the case, it'd be very chaotic simply due to the fact that a lot of teams are in America. There's 7 APAC teams, so it'd be very weird for them in terms of traveling and visa and whatnot. And it'd just be strange because you'd have a lot more teams like New York where they have that random American on their roster. So I really don't think much would change, especially if it's just one. All those fully Korean teams would have that one guy just be on the bench most likely. I don't see how anything would change. What are some of your favorite games other than Overwatch, past or present? Ooh, this is a question that I always love to answer. So, before Overwatch was like my main game, there were quite a few games that I enjoyed throughout my childhood. For starters, like the first big one I can remember is the Sly Cooper franchise. It started in 2002 on the PlayStation 2, and I've been in love with it ever since. I've played all 4 installments many, many times, and I've turned that love into speedrunning recently. For those of you who pay attention to my Twitch, you've seen that. I've been grinding the first Sly Cooper game a lot. I love those games so much. But then there's also the original Star Wars Battlefronts 1 and 2. For the original Xbox, I played them on, and those games were pretty big for my childhood as well, since I'm like a huge Star Wars fan, and I love third-person shooters. That was always a great time. Also Pokemon, that's another big one. Pokemon Fire Red, Platinum, Emerald. Like basically Gens 3 through 5 was like peak Pokemon for me. I loved it so much. I still do love Pokemon today. I always play the new games and everything. But that was like when I thought Pokemon was the best for me at least. And other than that, there's a bunch of other games I'm probably missing. I played Call of Duty for a good bit, as I mentioned before, but I'm not the biggest fan of the franchise these days. Is it possible for you to start streaming with some regularity? Maybe go over Overwatch League games, maybe play Overwatch with viewers, or play by yourself and talk with chat. I think this would go over well with the community, and I think it would be a lot of fun. It would bring some variety to the channel. It's tough for this because this is something I'm always meaning to do. I like streaming, but for one, I find it exhausting. I mean, I'm sure other people feel the same, but I think it can be very tiring. But also, it's just hard to find the time to invest in that since I'm also thinking about making videos and I'm trying to look for a job right now that I'm out of college. It's not easy, but I do want to start streaming more. It's just a matter of figuring out a schedule. It's really tough, especially with Overwatch League back on. I could do more watch parties and stuff, I suppose, and I want to play more with viewers. That time I did it on YouTube a couple weeks ago was amazing. But I mean, yeah, it's just tough. Also, like I said before, maybe they could do the podcast thing. There's a lot of different options I could do with streaming. It's just a matter of actually finding the time to invest to do it. So if that's something you guys want to see, if you want to see me stream more on YouTube and Twitch, let me know down in the comments below. How do you prepare to sit down and record for a video? Do you get into a groove, or do you go in a bit blind? First off, it's good to see your face around. This is probably one of the first people I actually interacted with on YouTube that I became friends with, at least at the time. So good to see you're still doing well and everything. To answer your question though, usually I have a specific approach that I take with videos where I sit down first, make my script, and then I know exactly what I'm going to say. But then there are other times where I do go in a bit blind, especially for news videos where I don't have the time to sit down and script and I have to get the video out as fast as I possibly can. Yeah, there are moments where I go in blind and I have to think of stuff on the fly. It really depends on the video type. Mostly the videos you see from me end up being scripted, like anywhere from like 3,000 to 5,000 plus words. But there are times where I go in a bit blind as well. It just depends. Was the Overwatch League the first esport league you got into, or were you into other ones before you found Overwatch? So, I mean, yeah, Overwatch League / professional Overwatch in general basically was the first esport league that I got into. Pre-Overwatch League, I was watching like Overwatch Contender Season 0 and the World Cup and all of that good stuff, Apex, blah, blah, blah. But I did watch some Smite esports back in the day because me and my friends loved that game. Right before Overwatch came out, that was like my main game that I played with my friends. But Overwatch was like the first real one that I got into. It was my first love and currently my only love in the world of esports. What 5 players, 1 tank, 2 DPS, 2 healers would you want to see play at their peak once more, retired or not? Players like Surefour, EQO, Ons, etc. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of bias that goes into answering this question, so I'm going to go with Choyobin at tank, because he is, in my opinion, one of the most clutch players in the history of professional Overwatch. Arguably the best off-tank of all time. He's retired. I think we need him back. That'd be amazing. At DPS, give me Carpe. I thought that Carpe in his prime, like 2018, 2020, was a very magical sight to see, and I'd love to see him play at that level once again. Also give me Agilities at DPS for obvious reasons. He's my favorite player of all time. I just want to see him be relevant again and in the league. And then healers, give me Moth, as I think he's probably the most consistent support in league history, at least at main support. He's a great leader, and I miss him a ton as well. And finally, give me Kareev at flex support, as he's one of my favorite players of all time to watch as well. I thought that 2019 Kareev was one of the most magical players of all time, and I want to see him in peak form once again. So I'd go with that team. It seems a little weird, but that's what I'd go with. If you had a chance to play with a group of Overwatch content creators and pros, who would they be and why? This is something that's maybe a bit difficult for me to answer due to the simple fact that I don't watch a ton of Overwatch creators these days. Even pros for that matter, like on their streams. I mostly just stick to the Overwatch League, but if I had to pick some, I think maybe I'd go with like Flats, Emung, and J3. I think they're a very wholesome group that'd be very fun to play with. I'd love to be with Seagull as he's like the OG, really awesome to be around. And of course, it'd be really fun to play with like Super or XQC, all those guys, Sleepy, etc. So there's like a pretty large variety, I'd say. I'm pretty open to my options. I'd love to just hang out with any of these guys. As somebody who wants to be an esports, Overwatch League, or Valorant news content maker similar to what you make, what's it take to make videos in terms of script or things like editing? It's really tough for me to answer these types of questions usually because a lot of the time I just remember that part of the reason I made it onto the scene was mostly just due to like commitment and some luck as well. But to give you some advice, something I definitely recommend that you do if you're going to think about script writing, that is to keep it small. Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed. Just in general with videos, that's what you got to do, especially at the start. Take a very humble approach. Don't be too ambitious. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make. Keep it short, maybe like 10 minutes or under, then go from there to see how you like it and what you can change. A lot of my videos early on were not nearly as long as they were now, so take that as you will. Script writing can be extremely overwhelming. I have made multiple scripts that are like 5,000 plus words, 6,000 words even. It can be exhausting, so make sure to keep your mental in the right spot and just not go too crazy as you try and traverse the waters of making content for yourself, whether it be Valorant or Overwatch League. It's the same thing. And in terms of editing, just figure out what you're comfortable with. There's really no right answer for this. If you want to go all out and maybe get like the Premiere software, then do it. But you can also get free stuff. You just have to do the research. How many video ideas do you have in reserve? So I actually have like a video reserve list on my phone that I'm constantly adding to. It's definitely like 30 plus videos right now, I'd say, around that ballpark range. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, something like that. But a lot of them don't end up seeing the light of day, at least for a long time, since the Overwatch League keeps me busy, whether it be with the off-season news recap or regular season predictions. It's not always easy to get those videos out as there's more pressing matters, more important things to get out. So yeah, there's a bunch in reserve that I want to do. They're more of like one-off interesting content that I love, but you never know. Maybe they'll all see the light of day sometime in the future. If you had to make a toilet bowl team of the worst Synergetic OWL players possible, who makes the roster? Oh God, that's a really random question. So a toilet bowl team that has horrible synergy and would just be god-awful. I guess I'll go with 2 tanks because why not? Just so we have an epic backup. At tank, I'll go with Zephyr, the Scrim God, because, you know, he's the GOAT. He can do no wrong. And then Roar, because clearly he worked out so well at the Overwatch League level. At DPS, Jake's going to be on Junkrat only, and he's not going to calm at all. Plus Jimmy, who's going to be randomly flanking on Widow for no apparent reason. Then at support, we'll have the GOAT Hybe, you know, the greatest main support of all time. As well as Unko, who is apparently really toxic. So all in all, we have a bunch of randomness going on, there's no cohesion whatsoever, and there's 4 different native languages going on this one roster, so I'll go with that and call it a day. What's some of your favorite anime besides Dragon Ball? There's actually quite a few anime that I've enjoyed throughout the years. Dragon Ball is my true number 1, but I've watched a bunch of others that were also great. I'm very basic, by the way. I don't go deep down the rabbit hole with random anime. I mostly just stick to the super basic fighting anime with a lot of action and everything, which is why I'm a big fan of Naruto and Bleach. Those make up the rest of my top 3. Naruto just played a big part of my childhood, and I've loved it ever since. And then Bleach was something that I discovered in high school thanks to a friend, and I've always loved it. And I cannot wait for the next season of the anime to come out soon, by the way. I also am a big fan of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are all-time classics for sure. But then also, if you want some of the newer stuff, I love Black Clover and My Hero Academia. So those are just a few of many that I've really enjoyed throughout the years. Favorite memory from the YouTube channel? You know, there's been so many amazing memories of my YouTube channel throughout the years, and I can't thank you guys enough for making them possible, by the way. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I know it's a very modest goal, especially here in the modern day with how many channels get big and blow up and everything. But that was a goal for a long time. You have to understand that I never thought would be achievable. At the start, it was like 100 subs that was my goal. It's like, if I can get that, I've peaked. I'm awesome. I'm going to be very content with my YouTube career. So when I hit 1,000 and realized that I can actually be up for channel monetization and there's more room for me to grow, that was like a very huge realization for me. And I don't know if I've ever been happier in my entire life. I was so psyched when I hit that milestone. And anyone who's been around since that time will tell you. Who did you believe in but failed to live up to your expectations, aka a bust? There's definitely a handful that I've seen throughout the years that I believed in big time that became bust, but the two biggest ones that come off the top of my head are definitely Roar and Flower. With Roar, there were pretty high expectations for him. Some people thought he was very overrated, but I believed in him. I thought him and Decay were both really good during their Kongdu Panthera days, and I expected both of them to do great at the Overwatch League level, but Roar just never panned out. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was communication, laziness, not having the right skill set, but he just wasn't good enough. His Glad days weren't impressive, and he was even worse on the Justice. And then with Flower, I was still riding the high of what I saw during the 2017 World Cup. Everyone kept telling me, because at the time I didn't really watch contenders at all, like even less than I do now, everyone kept telling me, Flower isn't that good anymore. He wasn't doing good on NYXL Academy. You're going to regret believing in him. But I did it anyway because I saw the potential from him. But then he came to the league and never did much of anything. Very sad. Who is your top 3 streamers for Overwatch? To be completely honest, I don't watch a ton of streamers these days, like I said before, so this is a tough question to answer if you want like modern day examples. Some of my all-time favorites that I watched back in the day when I did watch a lot of streamers though include XQC, Agilities, and Super. I have one question. What is your favorite indie game? I'm curious, does Minecraft count? I think I googled that it technically is an indie game, and I don't really play a ton, so Minecraft probably wins it out by default if you count that, seeing as it's definitely the indie game I put the most time into, and it's not even close. I never really played on PC because back in the day I didn't have it, but on Xbox 360 when that game came out, me and my friends in middle school played it all the time, so definitely Minecraft by a long shot if that counts. If you could make an esports team for the Overwatch League, what would you call it, and what would be its color scheme? Yeah, this is something that's pretty tough for me to do, due to the simple fact that I'm not extremely creative for one, and I'm not artistic. It's part of the reason I've never made a dedicated video about this subject in the past despite being asked to, but if I had to participate in this, I'd probably go with a Korean-based team, because Korea deserves another Overwatch League team, seeing as pro Overwatch, like the heart and soul of it, no pun intended, comes from Korea. Let's call it how it is. They're the most dominant region, they basically always have been. They have a lot of the biggest legends in the game coming out of them. So I'd go with a Busan team, and I researched popular animals in Korea, and it seems like the Asian bear, the Asian black bear, something like that, is pretty popular. So I'd go with like the Busan Bears, let's say, and I want to have another green team in the league, as since the Valiant changed their colors, I feel like we've been lacking green teams, just not enough of them. So maybe like the Valiant colors, just to spite them, but for the Busan Bears, either that or the Immortals colors. I'm not sure if you guys have seen like the photoshopped art of what like an Immortal skin would look like. It's like the black with the dark green. I think that would also be pretty sick. So that's what I think my team would look like. The Busan Bears with some sort of green color scheme. And that's going to do it for the 30,000 subscriber Q&A special. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And once again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for helping me reach this goal. I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. You're a big reason why I was able to enjoy myself while in college. I didn't have to work retail or any sort of other ridiculous job. This is what I got to do while in college. I got to really enjoy making my money, I guess you could say, and I'm hoping that I can continue to do this for a very long time. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I'm happy you guys are in for the ride with me because I know that I'm always going to be in a great place with such incredible support. And until next time, guys, this is ATP. Signing out. Peace.